So, what kind of person, come 2023, would you vote for? Would you drum support for to be governor of Akwa Ibom State?
My ideal governor for 2023 would be a young person, someone of my generation, not too old. We're now in the era of the not too young to run. So we're going to be looking at someone who is of my generation, who has strength and energy, and then who is intellectually competent, who is knowledgeable. Somebody who has the fear of God in him, not a church goer, strictly speaking, not a religious person, strictly speaking, but somebody who has empathy for humanity. Above all, I want to see a governor who is humble and who can connect with other people on the basis of what they represent, on the basis of the fact that they are also human beings. I don't want a governor who is on a high horse. I want a governor who is able to connect and who understands the needs, not of society as a utopian context, but our society as being peopled by human beings who have needs on different grade levels. Looking at our communities, looking at our urban centers, looking at the number of people we have who are out of jobs, those who have never been opportune to work, looking at our elderly people, looking at our weak people. The best of societies, the barest a society can do is to take care of its weak population, vulnerable people, the elderly people, the sick ones, those whom we may want to refer to as
incapable?
No, well, that might not be a very good expression to use to say that they are incapable. But
Underprivileged?
people who are more or less,
And what
underprivileged
about
and
the
who need
productive?
who need that assistance to be able to get by on a day-to-day basis. A governor who is able to engage the strength of Akwa Ibom people. We need to be able to galvanize, we need to be able to harness God-given talents of Akwa Ibom people. A governor who is able to utilize the resources of the state, probably and creditably. I don't want to see a governor who would encourage wastes. I don't want to see a governor who would begin to initiate processes or projects that don't have any direct bearing on the uplifting on the lives of Akwa Ibom people. I rather want to see a governor who identifies project areas that would create wealth for our people, that would create security and safety for our people, and then would protect and then preserve our family values. Because you see, once you have a dysfunctional family system, either on account of the fact that parents are incapable of attending to the needs and their responsibilities at home, you are also going to have a dysfunctional society. And the kind of things we see today with insecurity, with social vices, look at what's happening in our secondary schools now, just shows that there has been a deficit on the home front. So we need the kind of government and governor who would see these as priorities, not just enjoying the perks and the paraphernalia of office, but seeing himself as a selfless servant who has actually come to help Akwa Ibom people. And that is why I emphasize on a governor who is God-fearing, not necessarily a churchgoer. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And so you also need a governor who is wise. And it means that for you to be wise, those values that appeal to God must be the things you cherish most. And that's the best way for Akwa Ibom come 2023. It would have been a clear departure. That is the only way we can redeem lost time, lost resources.
You think we've lost time?
We've lost a lot of time. We've lost a lot of resources. We've derailed.
What do you mean by that?
Massively.
Call out things for what they are.
We've initiated things that don't have direct bearing on our people. We've done things that are clearly disconnected from the things that would bring benefit to our people.
For example?
For instance, since I said we need a governor who is God-fearing, you now have interpretation of that to mean that we should create monuments as altars of worship to God. That is not a correct interpretation of what God desires of leadership. The basic ingredient of leadership that God expects of all of us is that we must be humble. We must be humble. Humble in service, humble in leadership. And once that is not there, it means that we would have gone off tangent. So in interpreting leadership to mean that we are going to go create, for instance, you have what you call the International Worship Center. I choose to call it the International Pilgrimage Tourism Center because that structure is everything other than what the Akwa Ibom of today desires and needs, even the Akwa Ibom of tomorrow. We're not looking for church buildings. We're looking for people who worship God in spirit and in truth. And that's the only time you can have people who are empathic one to another, someone who is empathic to other people's needs, not just this ramrod situation of insisting that what the governor says is wisdom. There has to be a collective decision-making process. Decisions for situation of projects in this state must be based on needs assessment. What is the need of my community? Do I need a church in my community to be able to maximize that God-given potential? No. What I need in my community, in my immediate community, is good roads so that our people who are mainly into agrarian activities can have access and then bring their commodities into town to where they can have access to markets and then engage in their trade. So that is the kind of thing I expect a governor to do.
Wouldn't you like a governor that is that completes projects?
Well, you see, part of redeeming the time, I've said we've lost a lot of time. There are a lot of things we have initiated in this state and then we have probably left to rot. You know, government must be seen in Akwa Ibom State to actually be a continuum that it is said to be. We have to take a look at some of the projects that have been initiated in the past. Look at the Science Park project. Now we are moving into the ICT era. You now have everything about the world now and engagement is about ICT, it's about technology and so on. So if you must be tech savvy, it means that you must begin to do it. For instance, now the federal government has also approved a Federal University of Technology for Akwa Ibom State. How ready are we to key in to that era? So we must be able to redeem that Science Park project to the extent that it becomes relevant to the needs of our state and society today. That's just one amongst several others. We also must work faster and harder on ensuring that we bring on stream the MRO facility for the airport. Maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility for the Akwa Ibom Airport would provide the needed resource so that you can free up capital for initiating other life-touching projects. If you are able to bring that project on stream, you're doing your aircraft servicing not just for the Akwa Ibom air fleet, but also for other commercial airlines, because that's a commercial entity, and it is something you don't find very close by here. So that is also going to have the effect of giving you income, another level of income stream for Akwa Ibom State. So when we look at all of these things, you'd see that we would have been able to redeem lost time and then also recoup, also be able to recoup lost resources so that we can have a steady income stream. We must look beyond oil. We must look beyond going cap in hand to the federal government or waiting for monthly allocations from federal government and so on. Even to the extent of going borrowing. Akwa Ibom State shouldn't be borrowing as it is.
Thank you. So for president come 2023, for what you be voting for and possibly conversing for votes for?
I'll be looking at a pan-Nigerian president. A pan-Nigerian president. I'll be looking for a president who is cast in the mold of a Muhammadu Buhari in terms of the political will to get things done in this country. A younger person, but in the mold and character of a Muhammadu Buhari. A more pan-Nigerian person, but still in the mold of a Muhammadu Buhari. One of the things that has bedeviled this particular administration is the fact that the argument against government that borders on nepotism can't be properly argued away, because we have seen in diverse areas in this country that most of the appointments seem to favor a particular section of this country. And now, to create a balance, you must be able to inject some kind of equity, which is guaranteed in our constitution as federal character. So you need a president who sees all sections of the Nigerian society as his primary constituency, not necessarily where he comes from. But you also need a president who has the will to address the needs of the Nigerian society, like President Buhari is doing. You have a president who wants to see the third tier of government, the local government system, function with its full autonomy. You want a president who continues to ensure that there is autonomy for the judiciary. You want a president who continues to provide social intervention programs for those who are unemployed, for those who are vulnerable, for those who are unemployable, so that you have a social security net to mop up the sections of society that cannot be formally employed. That is humanity at work. So you need a president who continues in that line, and then you also need a president who is able to deal with the issue of insecurity in a more categorical fashion. A president who is younger, like I said, would have that needed energy, physical strength to be able to attend to the needs of state. President who will be able to address the issues of state as the need arises, so that he's not misled either by aides or he's not limited by the fact that he's probably too old or too weak, to address the issues as they crop up across the length and breadth of the nation. So 2023 should throw up a presidential candidate that would meet the yearnings of Nigerians in the core areas where we have had complaints, such that there is inclusiveness. Everybody has a sense of belonging. And once that is done, it will tone down on this clamor for secession, for diverse republics who are raising concerns now about their own independence. You've heard about probably the Southwest, you've heard about the Southeast, you've heard about even recently about the Igbo Republic, surprisingly. So once we have, because you also need to look at the root causes of this clamor, once you have those issues sorted out at those levels, I also believe that you would hear less of these agitations for greater control of resources and for inclusiveness in governance.